Right, let's talk changes to blues for Alice today. Why is this blues so important? What is going on with Parker's changes? And why is it even called a blues? So let's put the chart on the screen. You can grab all of today's resources as PDFs from my website, including the chord shapes and the chart. So where do we find the blues within that? It is hidden there within it, and Charlie Parker has superimposed a lot of other chord changes on top to make it much more than just a blues. Now if someone said to me, play a jazz blues, I would take something like this. In the key of F, we're going to use chords 1, 2, 4 and 5. So like this is like Things Ain't What They Used to Be, another tune I've done a lesson on, so check the description for that. So like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, chord 1. And a basic blues, we just stay on chord 1 for line 1. Moving to B flat 7 chord 4, back to chord 1, F7, and then the jazz blues will often go 2, 5, 1. Would play maybe a bit more interesting turnaround than I'm doing there, but that would be basic blues, chords 1, 4, 5 and 2. So in the jazz blues you usually get 2, and you might get some other variants as well. If we compared Parker's blues to what I just played there, that sort of basic way of playing Things Ain't What They Used to Be, what similarities we've got? Well, on line 1, the one big similarity is we start on an F chord, albeit an F major 7. Now it's quite common with this sort of bebop era blues to have major 7 chords and not just always dominant 7th chords in a blues. The next thing they share in common is we get to the all important 4 chord B flat 7 in bar 5, and then also in the final line in bars 9 and 10 we get the 2-5 G minor 7 to C7. The other obvious thing that's the same between them is they're both 12 bars, that regular structure we all know and love. So that's the similarities that you can see between a basic jazz blues and blues for Alice. To understand this, we really need to place it in its context of the bebop era, which Charlie Parker was at the forefront of, in which, you know, chords and long established chord progressions became enhanced and changed and modified, with people like Parker taking the standard changes of the swing era and making them that little bit more interesting harmonically. This blues is referred to as like Parker's blues or Parker's changes, or the blues for Alice blues, or the descending blues, which we get to now. So let's go line by line. So the first line we have got that F, E minor 7 flat 5, A7, D minor 7, G7, C minor 7, F7. What's going on? So that whole first line for me has the feeling of going down. But it's all about one thing, and it's all about reaching B flat 7 in bar 5. And what we've got going on, we've got chord 1, F major 7, and then we've got a minor 7 flat 5 to dominant to a minor chord. Now, whenever you see that and it's moving in fourths like it is there, that is a minor 2-5-1. Why does it work? It's because D minor is the relative minor of F major. So really what we're doing is we're starting on chord 1, and then we're using this minor 2-5 to get to the relative minor of D minor. Bars 1 and 2, chord 1, then a 2-5 in D minor, which takes us to the D minor chord, but we don't stay there, we go to a G7. Now what's D minor 7 to G7? It's a minor 7 to a dominant and moving in a fourth, that's a 2-5 from the key of C. Then we move a fourth again, C minor 7 to F7, which is a 2-5 again, but from the key of B flat, and lo and behold, what's the chord we get to next? B flat 7 in bar 5. So, apart from the F to the E, everything's moving in fourths there. So we're going a 4 from E to A to D to D to G, G to C, C to F, F to B flat. Which is why that circular fourths is so important to know. There's some familiar stuff in that first line too. Not only is there those 2-5s which we're so used to hearing and seeing in standards, but also the first 2 bars. That's the start of Georgia. Georgia, Georgia. It's also the start of There Will Never Be Another You, albeit in a different key. And it's spotting those familiar things between songs, things you've heard before, that help you kind of understand these chords. Otherwise it can just like a set of random chords. You really wanted to get into the way of thinking of where's this chord going, why is it there? And it's all, songs are always about getting somewhere by a certain particular point in time. You know, we're in a 12 bar here, like we said, bar 5, we want to get to that B flat. So we reached the 4 chord after all that. Yeah, now we reached there. Let's straight away, we get a bar of that, but straight away Charlie pulls the rug from under our feet and he makes that a minor chord, and we get B flat minor 7 to E flat 7, which is a 2-5 in the key of A flat, and the main descending blues becomes very apparent here. We then get A minor 7 to D7, 2-5 in G, descend again, A flat minor 7, D flat 7, that's a 2-5 in G flat, and that takes us to the last line. So that's some things to note here. 2-5, you don't have to have one. It can just be 2-5 on its own, and that implies the key. So we're in B, you know, we've got chord 4 of F here, then we go key of A flat, key of G flat. So we're moving through key centers, and that's what 2-5s or 2-5-1s enable us to do, and they enable us to move through keys to get somewhere else. So the last line, it was where we were getting to, is all about getting to G minor 7, the 2 chord by this bar here. Then so we're back to the parent key, so 2 in the key of F and 5 in the key of F, C7, and then the last 2 bars is where you get the turnaround, which is all about resetting and enabling us to kick it all off again, so we can repeat these 12 bars. Now I've listed the real book changes, so A minor 7, D7, G minor 7, C7. You may also see things like F, D7 flat 5, G minor 7, C or C7 flat 9. Many variations you can put there, but that's just what I like. So nice movement to that. Then we kick it off again. So there we have it. That is Blues for Alice. It is a 12-bar blues that goes through 7 different keys with 16 unique chords, just with the way I'm suggesting to play the chords before you put in any sort of substitutions or alterations to the dominants. Hopefully you can see how this sits within the blues tradition and how it builds upon the top of it. And this brings us to another problem. How on earth are we going to solo over this? I do not think just the F blues scale is going to cut it. So in my next video I'm going to cover that. If you're new here, my name's Andy. Jazz guitar lessons every Wednesday and Saturday. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and hit the like button if you've enjoyed today's lesson. Don't forget you can grab the tab and the notation, the chord shapes over at my website jazzguitarwithandy.com. Check the description beneath. Until next time, take care.